Welcome to our Mind the Moment's Tuesday morning gathering, brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. And this is a place where we invite experienced mindfulness instructors to speak with us about what mindfulness means to them and to discuss as a community how we can incorporate these practices into our daily lives. I'm Suzanne Rowe Palacino, and I'm here with Kell Julliard, and there he is. Yay! Kell Julliard, so nice to see you here with your lovely, beautiful blue shirt on and gorgeous smile. So good morning to you, Kell.
Good morning, Suzanne, and good morning to everyone who's joined. Wonderful to be with you as always.
Yeah, it's so nice to have everyone here and to have this opportunity to practice together. So today, if you're new, special welcome to you. So happy to have you here. And if you're a regular, we always love having you here. So we're grateful for the community and for being together this morning. Today, we'll start off with a question for the group, as we always do. Kell will share some thoughts with us, and then we'll go right into a 12-minute meditation practice. That practice will be a mix of guidance and a little bit of silence. So those that are somewhat new to this practice can really get a sense of what it's like to have the guided practice, as well as a little bit of silence, which is can be good for all of us to practice in. So with that, if you go to the bottom of your screen and open up the chat, and you'll see at the bottom of the chat screen, you can click on hosts and panelists, and that will allow you to click on the blue drop-down menu, and you can click on everyone, and everyone can see your comments that you type into the chat. So now, Kell, you have to share with us a question.
Okay, so I've put it in the chat so everybody can see it. It's, what have you eaten lately that you have found delicious, that you've really, really enjoyed or savored? What have you eaten lately? This is a little funny question for meditation, although we do have eating and tasting and smelling meditation, so it's not so foreign.
I don't see the question in the chat. I'll put it in here as well. Oh, okay. Yes, there it is. You should see it now. Yeah. Pineapple. Yes, she sees it now, Michelle. Thanks, Michelle. I'll add my thoughts. I had a neighbor actually bring over a meal for me recently that was just my combination of everything I love. Chicken piccata, which is just about one of my favorite things in the world. And she also brought over blondies, which are brownies that these were had caramel in them, and oh my gosh. And some lemon, I'm a lemon person, so some lemon cake too. So anyway, that was my favorite thing lately. Someone said avocado toast, which I'm totally, oh yes, Jerry. Pan toasted Anadama bread. Anadama bread. Wow. My.
Yeah, I'm seeing lots of wonderful things in the, but from the simple to the complex, just a perfectly ripe pineapple can be awesome.
Yes.
And then things as complicated as beef stroganoff, and
wow,
keeping it simple with chicken soup for the soul.
Pan roasted potatoes with garlic. Love soup, chicken soup. Yeah. Javier, I'm right with you on that. Bread, cornmeal and molasses in it. Whoa.
Oh, I love this. Grape nuts, working out some angst with the crunch of the grape nuts.
That's Kung Pao Brussels sprouts. Whoa, I'm hungry now, Javier. I wish there was a job to just eat pineapples. Maybe pineapples tastier in Hawaii. I don't know. I think everything's tastier in Hawaii. Caramel brownie cheesecake. Oh my goodness. Wow. I'm glad I did have a little breakfast before this, because I would really be.
Me too.
How about you, Kell? What's something that you've savored lately?
Oh, gee. Yeah, there's been some new things that I've been trying lately. But but I'll have to say pine nuts. I've had a few like little handfuls of pine nuts, and just to eat them by themselves, they're so expensive, but to eat them by themselves, they're so delicious. Yeah, so
I
that's
love them.
something that I've really savored lately. So this is leading us into our theme for the day, which is really around change. And I think most of us, like when we hear the word change, we can have a little bit of a tensing up, a little bit of a, oh, change is coming. But, when we really think about change, and you think about, if you use the metaphor of life being like a stew, where there is constantly simmering, and ingredients are constantly being added in and taken out. Um, it's sort of like, wow, how can we make this dish of our lives that we're constantly cooking? How can we make it as delicious and as savory as possible, even when things are challenging? So life puts ingredients into the stew, and so do we. It's kind of like life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. That's an old saw, and there's a little bit of Pollyanna about that, but nonetheless, there's also a real kernel of truth in that. That how could we make something either savory or sweet, depending on what's coming up in our lives? And in the Ayurvedic, in the ancient Indian approach to health, bitter tasting foods are one of the essential things to eat for our overall health. That you have a balance between bitter and sweet and sour and savory, and that all of those contribute together. And I guess before we get started with our meditation, I wanted to mention a book that I think is extremely helpful in this regard. I've only recently read it, and now I'm going to make sure that I put the chat to everybody. Thank you for that comment. The book is called Mindset, The New Psychology of Success by Carol Dweck. Now, the whole idea is that we have either a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. This is a bit of a simplification, but I think a very useful one, where we sort of think of ourselves as being either smart or not so smart. And if there are things that happen that seem to indicate that we're not so smart, then it's really, really tough for us. But in a growth mindset, we really have the idea that we can get smarter. You think about learning something, about neuroplasticity and all the new neurons that are being created every day in our brains that we can use to learn things, to remember things, to grow, to actually become smarter. Intelligence isn't fixed. So if we have a growth mindset, then we respond to challenges and mistakes in a whole different way. They become kind of like springboards to true learning. So this is sort of related to our theme of change in meditation. So I'm wondering, Suzanne, if you'd like to share anything about that before we move into our actual meditation practice.
Yeah, no, I love the theme of impermanence, and this is what I posted on Facebook this morning, and I shared something from Deepak Chopra that said, impermanence is not something to be afraid of. It's the evolution of a never-ending horizon. So, I mean, if we just think of what we're looking towards as just, it's always changing, and it's something, it can be a really wonderful thing and a wonderful way to think about things. So, I'm glad that this theme has come up, because in my life, it's very poignant right now in my life.
And I think all of us, are dealing with this really all the time, this ever-presence of change. So great. So thanks for sharing that. Really very helpful. So let's go ahead and move into our practice so we have some time to share comments afterwards. So take a moment to just get settled in your chair or on your cushion, whatever you're sitting on, so that your body is comfortably upright to promote alertness, presence, and a natural, easy way of breathing so that our brains get lots of oxygen without stress. So a comfortably upright body and spine, and the rest of our body relaxed. Now, it doesn't have to be 100% relaxed, just as much relaxation as you're able to bring today to your body, mind, and spirit. And just take a moment to recognize that you're alive, present, and aware here and now. Awareness, the great miracle of presence through which all thoughts and feelings and experiences flow. Just noticing that we're aware and alive in this moment. Awareness recognizing itself, not blocking thoughts or feelings or sensations, simply noticing that they come and go in the space of our awareness. And now notice the deep motivation as to why we're all here meditating today. It's that wish for happiness, whatever that word means to each of us, that wish to be free from suffering, whatever that means for us. We're here so our lives, our day, this moment can just be a little better, a little more easeful, more comfortable, more spacious, wiser. And just to notice that in awareness, spontaneously, there's that spontaneously present warmth of heart, that wish of love and kindness for ourselves and others, spontaneously present if we just notice it. And now bring your awareness to the constant change of what's going on in that space of awareness. That sensations, thoughts, and feelings are constantly shifting and changing. And we can just notice that. Allow that to be in our awareness. One way of bringing this into our experience is to notice the breath and see if there's a place where it's comfortable, grounding to feel the breath in your body. the movement of the breath in your nostrils, the expansion and contraction of your rib cage, the movement of your belly in and out, as we just let the breath come and go on its own. Knowing that with every breath, carbon dioxide leaves our body, never to return, and new oxygen that we've never taken in before comes into our body and into our bloodstream. This constant exchange, ever new, keeping us alive every moment. And if feeling the breath is uncomfortable in any way, then you can bring awareness to the warmth of your hands or the coolness of your hands, the texture that they're touching, or to your feet resting on the floor, the feeling of weight through them, the feeling of your socks or shoes. And noticing that as you sit here, perhaps there's a slight bit of discomfort going on that tends to grow a little bit as we sit. It's part of change. Our body doesn't really like sitting in the same position forever. So notice that as this feeling arises, we have a choice of how to respond. We can simply bring awareness to this shifting feeling of slight discomfort. Or we can choose to move. Whichever one you choose in this moment, notice that this is brand new. It's not that this has never happened before, but not quite in this way. And through this simple awareness, we notice our power of choice, our ability to respond as opposed to just react. This is part of the natural wisdom in us that we respond to in changing situations. If you gently open your eyes you can bring mindfulness to the visual world. The visual world seems so fixed and unchanging. And yet we know that it's made of atoms and electrons and quantum particles in a constant state of flux. And if there's a window in our space, we can see the light of the sun, which is constantly streaming. And as the sun moves, constantly shifting. So that while the way our nervous systems work creates a world that seems very stable, it's actually in constant change. Everything, everywhere. And because we have a wisdom within and a warmth of heart and awareness, we have what we need to respond to that constant change and grow. We can express these wonderful qualities in the world in which we live. So now, if you'd like to close your eyes, feel free to do so. Let the mind just rest, noticing that we're alive and aware in this moment, recognizing awareness itself. And the warmth of heart that is a part of that. Okay, that concludes our meditation for today. So I'd love it if folks attending would type in the chat and let us know how that was for you. Any insights or questions that arose as a result of the practice we just did? Or just what it was like for you.
I'll just add, while people are thinking of that, that I love how you spoke about responding versus reacting, how very different those two things are, and how we have this natural ability to change it from reacting to responding, and that it's just, we just need to practice that just like anything else, and our brain will pick up on that eventually, and it'll become a habit. You know, how we can look at change versus not as a scary thing, but as a natural thing. So thank you for that.
Yeah, of course, change can be scary, and it can be absolutely exhilarating, and it can be very sweet. It can be so many different things. But one of the things that I think it's important to remember is, because everything is constantly changing, if we have a negative thought about change, it really sets us up for a more difficult life. Whereas if we recognize constant change and embrace that, and recognize the positive potential of that wisdom within to respond, then I think we set ourselves up for a much happier life.
Yeah. That really is It's so true. We do have agency here, you know, we do have that that opportunity to evolve how our thinking naturally goes. And our
And
thinking does naturally go to reaction. We're kind of, that hunter-gatherer, that we have that mindset of the way we evolved, and that we protect ourselves. But yeah. Janice says I could have stayed there all day. I'm with you, Janice. Yeah, and I want to let Teresa, I am typing the quote right now, and I'll share it with everyone. The Deepak Chopra quote. Yeah, and Teresa, you said the emphasis on full awareness and warmth of heart. Yeah, and that it really is. I think that is the human default. We don't always think that that's the human default, but it really is. That, we can think of things in a warm way versus a negative way. I think that is, people are inherently good. I've always felt that way. So thank you so much, Kell, for being here.
you're welcome.
Time has flown, as it always does.
Yes, it has.
Yeah. And you actually started somewhat early, so we got an extra amount of time. So we're grateful for that as well. I think folks really like to have as much meditation as we can. So thank you so much for being here and for.
Oh, my pleasure. Always great to be with all of you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a wonderful time, and we hope you come back soon.
Thank you.
And yeah, we'll be back here tomorrow morning with our Zoom meeting format, where you can see each other, either your lovely pictures on Zoom, your names, or your faces, whatever works for you. So have a wonderful day today, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks again, Kell.